So we go on page 90, go back a few lines and start from a grand solution closed the long impasse, in which the heights of mortal effort end, a reconciling wisdom looked on life. The impasse is a kind of an opposition or a clash of, you might say, different stands that you can't solve a problem. There is a kind of a quarrel or a contradiction which seems to be unsolvable. The real impasse here has been in our lives the kind of opposition between the earthly inconscious imperfection and the world of the supreme light. So it is as if this is the world of where there is error, where there is darkness, where there is ignorance, and on the heights there is only light, there is only truth, there is only Satchidananda. This is the whole problem. That below, on the lower levels of manifestation, there is always error. Above, on the heights, there is always truth. This is not the ultimate answer. This is the grand solution. There is no opposition on the lower levels in the world of matter and ignorance and darkness. The presence of light and the divine consciousness are there. This is what he realizes, that because that consciousness is there below, it is at work from below, it evolves, it breaks down the opposition of our resistance, our ignorance. We don't want to recognize that we are really expressions of the divine. We say we are human, we are death-bound, we are mortal, we are imperfect. But in this imperfection, in this opposition, where we accept our imperfection as final, to be able to recognize that the play of the divine evolution is to rise from below upwards. It cannot rise unless the possibility of light were not already hidden below. This is what he realizes, that in the lowest inconscience, the supreme consciousness is hidden. And that is why it's working its way upwards. And so it took the striving undertones of mind. This is the reconciling wisdom that he realizes. The striving undertones of mind. What is mind trying to do? Mind is trying to understand. It's an instrument of understanding, it's an instrument of clarity, but it doesn't understand the whole truth, the whole reality. It breaks it down within to the levels of its own capacity. My mind is small, the truth my mind can grasp is small. So this is the whole problem. The striving undertones of mind, and yet mind wants the truth. Without understanding what is the truth, it wants the highest light, it wants knowledge, it wants wisdom. So this striving undertones of mind and took the confused refrains of human hopes in the world of life. It wants perfection of joy, of love, of harmony, of infinity and eternity. It doesn't get that. But why does it want what it has never had? Why do we ask for something we have never known? Or is there something in us that knows without knowing? You cannot ask for something you have absolutely no awareness of. How can you ask for something which is completely contrary to your nature? You cannot. This is what is the whole nature of man. He asks for things he has never had, or at least knowingly he has never had. He has never had knowledge of immortality, of perfection. He has never had anything which is perfect, and yet he asks for perfection, for light, for truth, for love, for harmony, for eternity, for infinity, all the things he has never known. Unless you recognize somewhere within the being that is already there, Because you cannot ask for something which is completely foreign to your being. So this is the confused refrain of human hopes. It is confused. Man is not capable of these things and yet he asks for something he has never had. It's a bit of a problem for us. We don't like to die and yet we die. We want immortality and we are not immortal. Then how can you ask for immortality? Every time there is death, there is pain. Why? Why don't we take it as a normal, natural fact? It's a shock, it's a blow, because it is a fault, it is an error, it is the result of something that is imperfect. And this solution now comes to him as a grand understanding. It took the confused refrain of human hopes. You know what is refrain? Echo. In the refrain is a repetition, it's an echo. And made of them a sweet and happy call. It lifted from an underground of pain the inarticulate murmur of our lives and found for it a sense illimitable. Because in our lives there is the underground of pain. Pain is understood when you know that it is not joy. We don't recognize pain as pain, we won't call it pain, only because we know it is not what we like. And what we want is joy. And we don't have it, then why do we ask for joy which we have never had? And so when we don't have joy, we call it pain. So all these things that he has recognized now, he has realized now that this is the yogi, this is Sri Aurobindo himself, that the world is not really fundamentally divided. The play of division, the play of opposition, the play of different aspects is something that happens somewhere in between. Originally all came from the one. In the end all will go back to that one. In the middle there are not just diversity, differentiation, but often opposition. Because mind understands only through opposition. When you say this is black, then the opposite is white. This is here, then it is not there. We like to make things simple with the help of the little mind. But the sense illimitable that comes from the murmur of our lives, in the heart of our existence, there is the soul. And it is this soul that keeps on coming back to the earth again and again, to manifest itself, its light, its truth in the body, on the earth, not to leave the earth, to go and find its liberation in some higher plane. We come back again and again. Why? Because it is here that the work has to be done. In the world of matter, in the world of error, in the world of ignorance, it is here that the illumination, that the liberation has to come. A mighty oneness, its perpetual theme. Division has to be replaced by one. All is one. That which is in the beginning was at the end. Below, from below, something is pushing up towards that manifestation of light. That something that is pushing is the Shakti of manifestation of the Mother. She is that force. The force of evolution is really that which is lifting us up from stage to stage. Who is she? She is a projection of the divine. She is an expression of the Supreme. So it's one. The one above, the Supreme Consciousness, is the Supreme Force. The Chit is the Shakti. The Supreme Chit, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Consciousness is the force. And it is this force which is nature, this force is evolution, this force is the world in which we are. So we are really projections or emanations of the divine, which is still incomplete, imperfect, it has not yet been finalized, but it is slowly expressing itself. A mighty oneness is perpetual seen. It caught the soul's faint, scattered utterances. From time to time, in us, there is a manifestation of the soul, a flash, an opening, an illumination that comes. Now and then, here and there, man has a certain, you might say, connection, he establishes a certain connection. Sometimes one feels one is not simply a mortal. In our daily life also, again and again, Mother tells us, if you have opening, surrender, a certain receptivity, you can put yourself in touch with that light, that truth that is always waiting to really enter into us. We have closed our doors, but if, even for a little while, we open ourselves, for a moment you feel we are not just worthless human beings. We are manifestations of the divine. We are children of the divine. So these are, but it doesn't happen all the time. Scattered here and there in our daily life. And this is what gives life a significance. Read hardly twixt our lines of rigid thought. Hardly is difficulty. Slightly. The lines of rigid thought says, man cannot be divine. Man is mortal. Thought is very strict. Reason has very strict logical rules. Now and then, those rules break down. There is an opening, there is a connection that is established, and it comes from not the mind, what is beyond the mind or within the heart, the psychic presence that is always there. Or mid this drowse and coma on matter's breast, heard like disjointed mutterings in sleep, even though they come off and on, like disjointed mutterings. But they are there. Sleep, it's not sleep with the physical sleep, or maybe it is when the mind stops functioning. In sleep, our minds don't work, or should not. Then, then there is sometimes a relation that is established with something beyond the mind, above the mind. It grouped the golden links that they had lost. This is the whole thing. It is this reconciling wisdom. He speaks of the wisdom. This is what is at work. The separation, the division that we had created between earth and God, soul and matter, here our human nature and the divine nature. This wisdom tells us that they are one, but we have lost the link. We have forgotten that. The link is the connection. We have lost that connection because we are busy with only our little surface self. We live in our little egos. It grouped the golden links that they had lost and showed to them their divine unity. All these different aspects are fundamentally expressions of the one which is the many. In the play of the manifestation, the one becomes the many. The many is diversity, multiplicity. But that multiplicity, that diversity are not separate from one another. They are held together by that oneness. It's like members of one family. Each one is different and yet part of one whole, one unit. The universe is that. It's a play, it's kind of an expression in the world of multiplicity of that original oneness. The one that becomes the many. What is the difference? We have separated ourselves. The ego has come and says, I am not you, I am not another, I am just myself. I am made of mind, life, body. I live in and for myself. This is the error of the ego. Saving from the error of divided self, the deep spiritual cry in all that is. That is the whole secret of the supramental manifestation. There is diversity, and yet the diversity is an expression of oneness. The one is the many. Because matter is the spirit, in a different expression, in a different format, but it's the same thing. All the great words that toiled to express the one were lifted in an absoluteness of light. Word, here he has used it in the term projection of consciousness. A word is a projection of a certain divine intention. It carries an energy. It's a force. Word is a vibration that comes out in the world of sound. That sound, when it is constantly, consciously sustained, it carries power. All sound has power. But when that sound is sustained by a consciousness, it has creative power. That is the whole power of the word. That is the Vani. That is the language which in itself it contains the experience of the truth, the power that Aurobindo has described in such detail. If you read even here in Savitri or in his book on poetry, 5 or 6 chapters he talks about the mantra. What is really mantra? Mantra is sound. Mantra is word. It is not a sound. It is a projection of consciousness. In fact, all words are projections of consciousness. Even what we utter without knowing, it's a projection of our unconsciousness, of our semi-consciousness. But when we have that consciousness sustaining the sound, it's a vibration that transmits experience. And that is the purpose why we are asked to recite mantras. But it's not just recite with our mouth, with our voice. We have to live those words. We have to become that. And that is why the word of light with which our human experience here in our country started was called Veda. Veda is the word. It is not a knowledge, it is not a philosophy, it is not an explanation, it is an experience. It's a flash of truth. When that truth is experienced, then only it becomes alive. Otherwise you utter the word with your mouth. It doesn't have that same impact. But when you live it from within. Therefore the Vedic rishis were not philosophers. They were not thinkers. They were beings who called themselves poets. Because poets are transmitters of a light that fills them from above and that they transmit to the earth. It is called revelation. That kind of mantra is a revelation. So now he speaks of the word as revelation. All the great words that toiled to express the one were lifted into an absoluteness of light. It's not simply some light. It is a manifestation, a total manifestation of light, an ever-burning revelation's fire and the immortality of the eternal voice. There was no quarrel more of truth with truth, which is there in all our philosophies. One religion, one philosophy, each one is sure that it is right, and another which sees the same thing from another angle says, no, that is not true, this is true, this is reality. And even when they don't quarrel with one another, they are convinced that they are the ones who really are transmitters of the truth, because we are so narrow, so small. There is only a little particle of truth that we can really transmit because our spirit, our consciousness is small. So what we transmit is small. And that is why when somebody else transmits another truth, you say he's not right. Because what I am experiencing is right. I am sure what my experience tells me is right, which is true. But it is a little, you might say, particle of right. It is not the whole truth. And that is why there is so much division, which is not a problem with truth versus falsehood, right versus wrong. It is right versus right. A little right and another right, all are at war with one another. And that is why man can't come out of this until he comes out of the mind. The mind with its certitudes, the mind has a tremendous ego. Particularly if you have a clear mind, then you see what you have seen or understood and you're sure of that. You say only this is true, the other is, the rest is not. So all this were lifted into an absoluteness of light, an ever-burning revelation's fire, and the immortality of the eternal voice. The voice is the power, the energy that is really projected into space. It is this, perhaps the image of the sound, the voice, before creation, before manifestation, before the play of multiplicity. What went forth from the Lord? That creative energy, which did not say anything because it contained everything. All the possibilities of manifestation were as if packed into that sound, which would enter into the play of such infinite diversity. So the endless chapter of their differences, retold in light by an omniscient scribe. The scribe is the writer who puts it down. There is the utterance, and the scribe writes word by word. One sound, one consciousness is projected. But when it is given to us, as he has given us Savitri, it is line by line, word after word. The same consciousness is there all through, but it gets as if, you might say, separated. It's not really separated, diversified in word after word. It's the same truth that he is telling us all along. This is the experience he's having. He's not writing. As he said, he did not write Savitri. It wrote itself out. It came to him and he wrote it. He just put it down. Travel through difference towards unity. In the world of mind, there is differentiation. In the world of the supermind, there is the oneness. The oneness which is not the opposite of multiplicity. Mind's winding search lost every tinge of doubt, led to its end by an all-seeing speech that garbed initial and original thought with the finality of an ultimate praise. So the initial and original thought was the starting point at which at some point the divine willed to create the universe. The universe before that was not. What was there was Satchitananda, the Supreme Brahman, in which there is no world, there is no time, there is no space, there is no beginning, there is no end, there is only that. At some point, why we don't know, from that is projected this world of time and space, of beginnings and endings. This seems to be a limitation of that eternity and infinity. No. That eternity is present in every moment of time, in every point in space. It is a projection of Him. This world, this creation, this universe is a projection of that. So here we may seem to be in a state of opposition, of division, cut off from the origin, unaware of what has created us, but that is because we have shut our doors. We have closed our eyes, we don't recognize Him, but we cannot exist by ourselves. That which has created the universe has created us. The same origin. So mind's winding search lost every tinge of doubt, led to its end by an all-seeing speech. Speech which is not thought. It is not explanation. Speech which is light. Light which is sight. It is something that is rare. It is in our words, in our minds, speech is an expression of our thought, of our mind, of our understanding. And that is replaced by a direct contact with the origin. It is not mind, it is light. The words that, especially towards the end of her yoga, Mother speaks of in the last stages of her physical sadhana, is that she doesn't think. What is to be said is said. What is to be written is written. By her hand, by her mouth, but she hasn't worked it out. It's simply a projection of truth that is manifested in the universe. So he gives us the image of, in a way of expression. Good expression for us is a mental grammatical expression, isn't it? Where all things should be properly put in the right syntax. Syntax is the arrangement of the words in a logical order. United were time's creative mood and tense, the style and syntax of identity. It's a beautiful image because time is the world where things are put one after the other. A well-organized, a well-arranged manifestation where one thing follows another. Identity is, you don't read, you don't study, you are that. I know this, I don't know that. I am like this, I am like that. I was small before, I am a little less small now, inwardly or outwardly, whatever. But that sense of change, that sense of growth, that sense sometimes of failure of growth as well, all this is a play of that one original consciousness. So that is, syntax is the arrangement of a sentence. And you need mood and tense. If you are doing grammar, you know the past tense, present tense, future tense. Mood tells you what is indicative, what is imperative, all the different states of being that you are in. And you say this is true, this may be true, this someday probably is true. This is true on condition that these certain conditions are fulfilled. So you have different moods, different states of being that manifest truth in their different moments. They are all expressions of the One. So when the whole universe is a manifestation of the One, it's as if the creation or the play is like a projection of beauty, of harmony, which expresses the glory of the divine power, and that is a paean. A paean is a song. It's a song of praise to the Lord. It's not a prayer. It's simply when you sing the glory of the divine, because you can't sing the glory of the divine unless you know the divine, unless you have come in touch with him. A paean swelled from the lost musing deeps. The musing deeps, the supreme inconscient, the supreme darkness, from there is slowly rising up this flowering, just like you have the beauty of the flower that rises up from the dark earth. Slowly it rises up and manifests the beauty that colored in the sunshine. But that possibility of perfection was dormant in the earth. Just like that, man is an expression who is a flowering of the divine. He has to break out of the darkness until that moment comes in his evolution when he becomes an expression of the divine. And then all that happens becomes a joy, becomes a mood of perfection, of delight. There is nothing but ananda, delight, harmony. This is the third aspect of the supramental manifestation, harmony. So in this world of matter, the spirit that is present manifests itself not in opposition of one to another, but all is harmony. And that is why if you read towards the end of Savitri, he has this beautiful passage where he says, the divine harmony shall be earth's law. The divine harmony shall be earth's law. It is the opposition, the divisions of the ego will go away. All is an expression of the divine. So that sense of joy, we are all different and yet we are all one. We are all part of the same one. And that is the paean, swelled from the lost musing deeps. Where is it coming out of? The depths of the supreme inconscient. In the very heart of darkness, this truth is waiting to emerge. And that is perhaps why in the God's labor, he is told by the Supreme, the seeker, Aurobindo is told, dig deeper, deeper yet, till thou reach the grim foundation stone and knock at the keyless gate. It is up there that the whole truth is waiting to break out of. We have to knock on the doors of our supreme inconscient ignorance and resistance. And that is all has happened for him. Therefore, an anthem pealed to the triune ecstasies of the supreme existence, the supreme conscious force, the supreme Ananda, Sat Chit Ananda. A cry of the moments to the immortal's bliss. A cry of the moments, we belong to the world of time. We are momentary beings. And yet, these momentary beings want eternity and infinity and immortality. Why do we ask for this? Because it is this that we are also. We are projections of the immortal. So the whole world is compared to a beautiful expression, a composition, where it is a poem. He's using the image of a poem. A poem is a projection of an experience the poet has. The universe is a projection of the divine. It's a manifestation in the world of form and shape, and yet it is a projection of that which has no form, which has no limit. So, as if the strophes of a cosmic ode. Ode is a poem. It's a form of poem, of poetry where you sing the joy, the glory, the beauty, the marvel of something. Something that is marvelous, that is beautiful, you sing it. Now the Greeks had a sense of perfection of form. And Aurobindo was very close to the Greeks. So Greek poetry had created the ode. And the format of the ode is very minutely worked out. How many lines should there be in the first stanza? Each stanza is a strophe. It's followed by a second stanza which is called an antistrophe, which is another aspect of the same strophe. Like man, you say something and you say something, like in a sonnet also. The second stanza says the same thing in a different format. So yet all these differences are simply a play of the one that manifests itself in the many. So as if the strophes of a cosmic ode, the whole cosmos is an ode. It's a formation. And all that is part of manifestation is part of this stanza, where the number of how to write a stanza, what rhythms should there be. In all great ancient literature, poetry had occupied a very important place because it is a projection of the soul's experience as it was originally. So it was based on rhythm. Rhythm is a vibration that is without any kind of something that is not broken by discord. It's regular. It shows a certain regularity, it shows a certain beat that is regularly repeated. So the universe is compared to the strophe of a cosmic ode, a hierarchy of climbing harmonies. One strophe will lead to the next. It becomes a starting point to enter into another experience on another level. The universe is that, from level to level. Evolution is that. A stage of consciousness is followed by another stage of consciousness. It is very systematic. It is very well organized. Peopled with voices and with visages. All kinds of forms, all kinds of beings were there. Aspired, this trophy rises from one stage to the next, aspired in a crescendo of the gods. The crescendo is really, in Western music, the high point, the highest point of when the rising scale, the notes go up higher and higher, and they reach the strongest and highest point, then it is the crescendo. It grows. Crescere in Italian is to grow. It grows to its fullness, its completeness. So it is just that the universe is a growing thing, from the lesser to the greater, in the sense from less conscious to more conscious, from matter to life, from life to mind, from mind to spirit. It is the spirit was already present in matter. Matter was already present in the inconscient. All this is part of one strophe, one ode. This is not matter as opposed to life, life not as opposed to mind. All this is inherent in the world of inconscient. It was already there. But it is slowly emerging, slowly manifesting. So it is like saying we are also incomplete expressions of that truth which is already there in us. The divine presence is already there. It has not yet come out into the open because we don't permit it. We are against it. It is waiting to come out. Aspired in a crescendo of the gods. The gods are these emanations, the forces that come out one after the other. Each different aspect of reality of the truth is what we call the gods. It's the God of light, the God of joy, the God of truth, the God of knowledge, the God of power, and so on. Each one is one aspect of supreme perfection. And they all come out in their fullness when they are completely manifested, where joy becomes love and love becomes power and power becomes knowledge. They are not separated from each other. All the gods have only one origin. From matter's abysses to the spirit speaks, starting from the lowest, rising to the highest. So this is the whole realization of the yogi. He sees that how all things are slowly a building up of that supreme who was hidden in the original unconsciousness and gradually emerging stage after stage. It's like a creation that comes out step by step. Above where the immortals changed his seats. Above creation, above time are those which are beyond the world of change. This world of time is a world of change, where there is growth. In the world of perfection, there is no need for change. All already is. There is no becoming. Our world is a world of becoming. That world is a world of being. White chambers of dalliance with eternity. Those worlds where you have simply Again a play of apparent opposites. Eternity in a chamber. Time, limitation, it is as if the eternal is taking pleasure in the world of form. He is taking pleasure. Dally is to take pleasure. To use white chambers of dalliance with eternity. And the stupendous gates of the alone. Until it reached that alone, the absolute, the Brahman. So the whole progression of manifestation. So this is like in a short form, the whole journey of consciousness. It's not easy, it's difficult, but the whole play of evolution and manifestation is a progressive manifestation of more and more consciousness, breaking down the opposition of ignorance and resistance. It is not continuous, because there is a falling back again and again. There is a rising, but as you climb a slope, Sri Aurobindo himself says this is like an ascension. You're climbing up the slope of the mountain, you can slide down, you can fall down, and man does. We go back to the original darkness repeatedly. But this is the journey across the unfolding of the seas of self. Self is consciousness. Every stage is one world of consciousness. Then another world of consciousness. Appeared the deathless countries of the One. A many-miracled consciousness unruled, vast aim and process and unfettered norms. He saw the whole play of that supreme creation, the supreme creation who made this universe. All its play, all its forms, all its limitations as expressions of one. So the one and the many, the human and the divine, the earth and the supreme, they are not opposed to one another. Earth is a field where the supreme slowly, gradually works his way into manifestation in spite of us. That is the whole thing. We do not permit that consciousness to manifest. We resist. Our egos, our ignorance resist. In spite of this, slowly there is a kind of a breaking down of darkness and light comes. So the book 1 actually is the Canto 5. The first cantos they have told us exactly the play of the breaking of light out of darkness, the symbol dawn. And life is just that. That there is darkness, there is night, there is ignorance. It breaks down that curtain or thick curtain or wall of darkness and light comes out. But it comes out because darkness is the mother of light. Dawn is born of night. And so the last lines of this poem, the end of Savitri, is that future world where she nurses a greater dawn, where there will be no night. She prepares a greater dawn. Night is a field of preparation for a greater light. So the opposition between night and light are simply man-made. Affranchised from the net of earthly sense, affranchised is delivered, freed from the earthly sense, earthly understanding, earthly vision, earthly experience. He is no longer trapped in that world. Calm continents of potency were glimpsed. He sees worlds, forms, fields of expression of the One. The One expresses himself in any way he chooses to express himself. Homelands of beauty, shut to human eyes, half seen at first through wonder's gleaming lids. Beauty in the world of matter is the expression of the divine. Beauty is the expression of the supreme in the world of form. So matter becomes an expression of the divine. Homelands of beauty, half seen through wonder's gleaming lids. We see beauty in the world of form, to some extent. But here this is a world of only beauty. All things are expressions of the divine, all forms, all shapes. Everything is beautiful. For us at present, all things are not beautiful. You say, this is beautiful, this is not. This is less beautiful. There is no less beautiful. When you see the consciousness at work in everything, the worm and the clod also are expressions of the divine, and they are essentially beautiful. Not to our understanding, not to our sense, but it is the same thing. So when this consciousness changes, half seen at first through wondrous gleaming lids, surprise the vision with felicity. You see only Ananda. When all things are beautiful, there is nothing but joy. Sun belts of knowledge, moon belts of delight. The sun is the symbol of the supreme light, the moon, soma, wine, divine intoxication. That is the image of the wine. Wine is that is you are being completely possessed by a divine to such an extent that you are intoxicated by the presence of light. Stretched out in an ecstasy of widenesses beyond our indigent corporeal range. Indigent is very poor. The range of our human field of experience is very little, very slight. How much can we see? How much can we understand? How much can we gather into our grasp? So little. Reality is infinitely vaster than us. So we have to become vast. We have to break down our range. There he could enter. Now this is a reference to his own personal yoga. He has entered into that world. There a while abide. A voyager upon uncharted routes, fronting the viewless danger of the unknown, adventuring across enormous realms, he broke into another space and time. That is the new world. Not the world as we understand, not the world of time and space of our making. There will still be a world of form. In the supramental world, it is not as if there will be no form, but not form as we understand it. So another field of manifestation. Manifestation is an expression of the one. But it's a new space, a new world. That's why Mother emphasizes a new world. It's not something abstract. It's not something empty of form. It's something infinite. It's infinitely vast, not nirvana. Without any form, there is form. Form is an expression of the one. So he says, never look down on form. Form is a, you might say, mold of the spirit. And if our spirit becomes vaster, we recognize the presence of the divine in all things. So he's entering into another space and time. The next book will be this whole thing described stage by stage. So 15 cantos and starts with subtle matter.